Hi, everybody. My name is Nina Malazan, and I am the founder and one of the principal consultants here at 36. I wanted to talk to you today about my biggest failure and why it was my biggest failure and some of the learnings that I had from that. So, my biggest failure in my career happened at the very beginning when I was a mechanical engineer. And I installed a conveyor belt, so a very big mechanical piece of equipment that is cemented into the ground too close to the other one. It was such a simple thing that I didn't do correctly that had major financial impacts and process impacts, etc. I remember sitting there and thinking when I realized what had happened and what I had done that I was going to lose my job. I had so much fear. I didn't sleep that night. I felt like such a fool for not doing these kind of simple things and these simple kind of outcomes. And it was huge. So obviously there's learnings that come from that alone. But I think the biggest learning that I had, and the company that I was with at the time was Toyota Motor Corporation. The biggest learning that I had is that not once through the process did I get criticized or chastised or anything along those lines. What they blaming the person, they looked at and they thought about, well, what is the reason and why this happened? And I got involved in the problem solving to make and fix the solution. It wasn't just a matter of moving it and shifting it sideways. Unfortunately, with production opening up in a couple of days' time and the equipment that it would take to do that, it just wasn't possible. So we had to think creatively and innovatively to come up with a different and new solution that would alter and change the mistake that I had put in place. Again, I call it about me and I put in place because I still carry that burden. They didn't think about it as me. They thought about it as me as a junior engineer, that they didn't have someone appropriately checking and that their processes weren't in place that supported me as that process. That was one of the biggest learnings, not only the biggest failures that I've had. And it has carried through with me as I've grown and as I've become a leader myself, to think about things not about blaming the person or the individual, but to look at it in terms of making sure we get people involved in the solutions if something goes wrong. Ideas and problem solving so that we can actually start to fix when things do occur and when they don't go to plan, because things don't always go the way that we plan and expect them to. And finally, as well, to not look at blaming an individual, but to think about it in terms of, well, what are the things that we could have done? What are the processes and the support that would have made that actually not happen in the first place? And how can we build up our systems to ensure that we do foolproof in the end? So for me, failure is a huge key point. It's a huge learning. But it's not something to be ashamed of. It's in fact something that we can learn from, that we can innovate with, and that we can keep adapting to our skills and abilities as we grow. Now, I have failed many times since then across many different areas, and I carry with me that same energy and same thinking process about, right, well, what can I do differently and better next time? So I hope that you can also start to think about what are some of your failure moments and write them down below, and start to think about how we learn from these differently as well.